Hey, everybody, and welcome to Beefmaster Banner. We are your host, Josh Morrison and Jared Strickland. How's it going, Jared?
That's going good. Finally picked up a little bit of rain, so grass is at least looking alive.
Yeah, good, good. Hopefully it'll continue that way. We've got two two guests, very special guests this evening instead of just one. Steve and Cindy Emmons of Emmons Ranch Beefmasters. How y'all doing?
We're great. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming on. Appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to do so. Um,
Well, just to go ahead and get started, just tell us a little bit about yourself and the history of being in the cattle business and the Beefmasters there, Steve and Cindy.
Well, I've been in the commercial cattle deal all my life. My daddy had commercial cows, and so I grew up with commercial cows. And then me and Cindy was real interested in the Beefmaster cattle. I'd been looking at them in books and reading about them while I was in high school. And we went to South Texas. I believe it was in '72. It could have been early '73. And bought some bulls and brought back up here and put on commercial F1 Tiger Stripe cows, and really did like the calves off those bulls and the disposition those calves had. And so we decided we wanted to go in the purebred cattle business because we didn't feel like we'd ever have enough land and to run enough commercial cattle to make a living, because you have to do that by numbers, and it takes a lot of numbers today. So we started our Beefmaster herd while we were in school at A&M.
I grew up on a ranch my entire life. My father and grandfather both were ranchers and farmers. It was in my blood. I didn't know anything different. My daddy had a few registered Hereford cows, but the majority of his cattle were just commercial cattle. Then he was the first person in our county to bring Brahman bulls in to cross on the Hereford and commercial cattle and make F1s. We found out real quick the dispositions on the F1s were not very pure. So after we added the Beefmaster bulls into the mix, the disposition totally changed. And that was definitely a blessing for us. Steve and I would have to like psych ourselves up when we went to pen those commercial cattle, borrow dogs, and it was really a big ordeal just trying to pen your cattle. And today that would really be difficult to do since we're not 20 again. But the Beefmaster breed of cattle has totally changed the ranching operation from when I was a child. So it's been a blessing.
Sounds like it. So when you both started, you've been married how long?
47 years this month.
47 years, and pretty much that long in the Beefmaster business then.
Yes.
A little bit longer in the Beefmaster business.
Okay. All right. So
we bought our first ones about 2 months before we got married. Pretty sure we were going to get married.
But she's really sure you're going to have Beefmasters.
Yeah, we are. We knew that.
We knew that.
So when you first started, I think I've heard you say before, you started out with just maybe 4 or 5 head, and went into that. Will you go into a little bit of that?
Yeah, we started in July of '75. We purchased 5 registered females to get started, and we were still in A&M, and we graduated in '76. And by 1979, we had grown our herd to 80 registered Beefmaster cows. And I knew that the purpose of a purebred breeder was to produce bulls to upgrade the commercial cow herd. So out of these 80 cows, say we had 70 calves, 35 bulls and 35 heifers. Well, out of those 35 bulls, I might keep 2 that I thought was good enough to make a bull. So I knew that was a bad situation, because bulls were half your income in a purebred operation. So I had to figure out how to produce bulls and good bulls. And so we started AIing in 1976. And then when in 1980, the new deal came along of embryo transfer. And we felt like that that may be something we need to look at doing, because most of your purebred ranches, whatever breed they are, they're known for the bulls they produce and sell. So that was what we were going to concentrate on. And we had this one old Homer Herring cow. She was 13 years old. And every year her calf was either number 1 or number 2 in our herd. And whenever she had a bull calf, it was a good one. So out of whatever Beefmaster bull she was bred to, it didn't matter. So that's the cow that we decided we'd try this new unknown adventure of embryo transfer. And because, you know, it was all unknown in 1980, they were doing it down here at Granada Land and Cattle, which was about 70 miles from us. And so we took that old cow down there and flushed her and kept all her daughters and started producing them, looking for the daughters that produce those good bulls. And when we would find those daughters, we'd start flushing them and do the same thing, look for their daughters that would have good bulls and then start flushing them to try to build consistency in each generation. And we've all heard going to Beefmaster sales and stuff. Everybody tells about their cattle because they like it. And I've always heard them say, man, you know, I looked out there today and old Sally had a calf, and I took off out there to see Sally's calf. And when I got there, it was old bull. You know, well, that, you know, I didn't want to be in that situation. When I saw Sally had a calf out there, I'm excited to see if she had the next Houston champion bull, not some bull I got to carry at the auction barn or castrate. So I knew that was what we had to do, was concentrate on producing bulls, and that's what we've done. And you know, we're all about cow power and cow families. You got to have those cows. That's what produces those bulls. And then you have your cow families so that you can, you know, breed around and breed, you know, into each deal. Because a donor cow for us, she has to produce a bull. I mean, if she can't produce her bull, she ain't gonna get flushed. And you know, we've been doing this so long now that you know, I don't even think about it anymore. I mean, whatever lays down has a calf, whether it's a bull or heifer. If it's a bull, it's going to be good. And so we've just bred that in the cattle, and that's for us. That's what we have to have, because we got to sell bulls. You can't just cull all your bulls and put all the expense against your females. That's, you know, that doesn't work for us.
Well, you'll never make it. Like you said, half of your calf crop normally is, you know, is bulls.
Yeah.
And why not go ahead and start breeding, you know, for the consistency like you're talking about, and be excited when you go out there, if it's a bull or a heifer. Be excited
Right.
than just to see what it is.
Well, when the embryo transfer got going and we started having, you know, multiple people in our breed start using it, well, all you would hear about them, I said, man, you ought to see the flush of heifers I got. Man, my cow's just doing super. And I'd ask them, I said, well, what about your bull calves? Oh, well, most of them had too much sheath. I had to carry them to the barn. And I'm thinking, well, buddy, those heifer calves that you kept can't produce bulls neither, if the mama can't.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you going to keep those heifers you tell me so good when they're going to have those same kind of bulls you're going to have to cull anyway? So we just went at it because we knew we had to produce bulls, and bulls that'll breed consistently when they go out there in the pastures.
Well, and like what you said, consistency is key. I mean, that's probably, in my opinion, one of the number one things you've got to have to be profitable and to make it in the seed stock industry, is you've got to have consistency.
Yes.
Speaking of bulls, are there any bulls that you're running right now that maybe stand out above some of the others? And if so, you want to talk about them?
Well, I guess I'm kind of the bull lady. Bulls are, very special to me. I kind of I unite with the bulls.
Yeah.
They're easier to get along with than females. I know y'all love hearing me say that. They're not near as moody as females are, more consistent, especially like my husband. He's so non-moody and so consistent. But Bet on Bubba is just a bull like no other. He's the most amazing bull I've ever seen. And we've been breeding the cattle for 47 years. And Bubba he's no Photoshop. He's no smoke screen. He's no glitter. He's no sales pitch. And he's no stretching the truth. He is what he is. He's built from the ground up. He stands on a massive set of feet that are made correctly. And the bone that he has is just truly incredible. His skeleton is loose and he's clean jointed. He has an amazing amount of cushion for a bull. And when he reaches forward, he sets his foot right back down in his track. He's just amazing. So he's very special to me. He has produced champions in all arenas. He's not just a champion himself, but he's produced all sorts of champions. He's dominant in commercial herds across the U.S. and in lots of foreign countries. His first calves have been born in Australia. He's not only dominant in the Beefmasters show world, but in all the American influenced steers and heifers also. We've sold several big time Bubba sons to Thailand. It's pretty funny. Foreign people will text or email and they ask for Bubba by name. I mean, they don't just want a bull, they want semen out of Bubba, or they want calves out of Bubba. So he's special all the way around.
I like it.
King George is another bull of ours that's really special to us. He's perfect in terms of his skeleton. He's homozygous black. He's pole scurred, and he produces quite a few pole cattle. He's toward the top of the breed with a 19.16 ribeye and a ribeye per hundredweight of 1.62. He's as long as a freight train. He has a massive middle and top, and his muscle is just very dominant. We cross George on Bubba daughters and headliner daughters. His calves, they're square hip, they're big top, they're sweet fronted, and they're pretty. I mean, you know, I'm a woman. I want my cattle to be pretty. I don't want to have to put a sack over their heads because they're so ugly. I want them to look like females, like they're walking down the runway. And that's what I like. We've been very blessed with our bulls. We've produced 8 national champion bulls and 2 reserve national champion bulls and the only national performance champion bull, and that was Headliner. We just got through with our JVBA nationals, and this was a huge show, the biggest one we've ever had. And there were 194 entries at junior nationals out of Emmons sired bulls.
Wow.
So
Wow, that's impressive.
it really makes you humble, and feel how blessed you are that people have accepted your genetics and are using them so much.
Well, and it really goes to show what you both have done over the last 40 plus years, coming, talking about the consistencies. I mean, if you don't have to look far to see an EMS name somewhere on a pedigree anymore at all. And that just goes to show what you both have been doing and working towards so many years is obviously working.
Well, thank you. We try really hard. We put our heart and soul in it. We, as I've said before, we live it every day.
It definitely shows.
We like we talked to Jerry Thomas.
We might like to not live it quite so much in these days right now.
Like we talked to Jerry Thomas in the last episode, he made mention you have the highest highs and the lowest lows in this business, and it's the ones that can handle that and can handle that stress load that come out on the other end of it and do very well. And it's fun to see, what 40 plus years of work does.
Well, Jerry summed it up pretty honestly. The highest highs and the lowest lows.
He did.
That's a very accurate statement.
He did. It was that was probably one of the most accurate statements I've heard in a long time.
Are there any females y'all like to discuss? I know y'all have got several, and y'all highlighting your sales coming up. So I was just curious what y'all think about those.
Yes, we have our young set of donors that we're really excited about. We're kind of moving forward and moving away from some of our older cattle and going into their daughters. And as Steve has talked earlier, a main criteria to be a donor at Emmons Ranch is you have to be able to produce bulls. So if you can't produce a bull, you won't be a donor here. So our Bonfires Barbie cow, we lost her this past year, and that was a big blow because she was really an amazing donor cow. She's the mother to several of these big time bulls that we've sent to Thailand and lots of places. We're out of her and Bubba. We have a few embryos left out of her, but other than that, she's about done her due here. But we have her influence. Pistol Annie is another donor that's really special here, and we'll have some calves in our sale out of her. Two of our youngest donors are one named Dreaming About Fire, and she has produced several really amazing young herd sires. We've got one that we're showing now that we're really excited about out of that cow and Bubba. Then
breeding
yes,
the first calf.
yes,
We're breeding her first calf
right now.
right now.
And then a cow called Queen of Dreams. She's pretty amazing. We're excited about her.
She's King George daughter.
King George out of our Catching the Dream cow. So that's a few of our young donors we're excited about, and can't wait to get farther in on them. And these cows, they have to look like runway models. I mean, that's the phenotype that we expect from them. They've got to have the big tops, the lot of muscle, the clean, pretty fronts. That's just requirements. And these donors seem to be answering the bill, so we're excited about them.
I heard one time that that cows that look like females will make bulls that look like bulls.
Yes,
And
that is the truth.
I didn't put a lot of thought into that until just right now. You were both talking about how you like your females, and there's a lot of truth in that.
There is so much truth in that. And Steve has told me that for years, and we'll be somewhere and you'll have one of these big time judges say, oh, that short fronted, bully fronted, big old heavy cow over there, just think of the herd bull she's going to make. And I'm going, well, I don't think at my house it works that way. I think we've got to have those beautiful fronted feminine cattle. That's who makes those great herd sires.
I agree with you.
For us, let's put it that way.
Sure. Well, it's obviously working. Like we've talked about with the bulls and you know what you're doing. But no, it was funny. That popped in my head as you were talking about the females, and I wanted to bring that up because it does. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And a lot of people may, like you said, may look at it differently, you know, but what you're seeing is proof of that on your ranch.
On our ranch, you've got to have those gorgeous females that, you know, when you see her off at a distance, just her silhouette, she looks like a female. I mean, you can just tell the outline of her body shape, all parts of her. You know, it's not a bull out there.
Absolutely.
And to us, that's what works.
Absolutely. So kind of gets us, that actually kind of leads us into our next question in when you're talking about looks and things, phenotype and you know, everything that makes a cow and a bull what they are. You are all in the, I call just pasture cows and show in the show ring. So in your opinion, what is the difference in making a show heifer or bull / just one that somebody's going to put in the pasture?
Well, in my opinion, there's not supposed to be a difference. Here, the only difference between one walking out there in the pasture and one walking in the show ring is haircut and bubble bath. I mean, they're supposed to be the same animal. I mean, when you go to these shows, I don't know what, I guess a lot of our breeders just won't go to these shows, but we put our cattle in front of these industry leading cow guys out there to critique our cattle. And so when they walk in that show ring, I mean, they got to be built from the ground up. They got to have the good feet, the good legs. They got to have the structure, you know, smooth flowing, clean jointed, neck coming high on that shoulder, straight tops, expressive spring of rib. They got to be the real deal. You know, they ain't no, I think some of our breeders think there's some kind of hokey pokey with because you show cattle. They need to get out of the sandbox and go bring some of their cows to town and compete. See how those guys critique their cattle. I mean, we're supposed to produce the cattle that go out and produce the calves that's going to have those yield grade 1s and 2s that make the cow guys money. That's what we're supposed to be producing. So you got to produce those kind of females to produce those kind of bulls. And so they just have a misnomer about because you show cattle as something different. I mean, most all our donors are past show females. And I mean, they're right out there in the pasture and raise, you know, big calves and do the whole 9 yards. I mean, cattle with muscle are just, they're more feed efficient. They're easy to keep. That muscle doesn't go away. That fat goes away. And as far as a breed, the Beefmaster breed has been known as a light muscle, low yielding, trashy breed of cattle. We're a lot better than we were, you know, 20 years ago when we were that way, but we still have a lot of low yielding cattle, and cattle's got a little too much hide on them, and because all that's stowaway. And so we have a bad rap in the breed, and it's, you know, some of the younger generation maybe don't see it, but the older guys, especially here in Texas where the breed was originated, I mean, we have a bad name. I mean, if we can't even imagine the number of bulls that's turned out in the state of Texas, more than there is anywhere else. And we don't even have 0.5% of the bull market in the state where the cattle were made, because we have such a bad reputation of long sheath, light muscle, low yielding. Well, I mean, we've come a long way from that. We don't have sheath problem in the Beefmaster breed today. But a lot of the older cow guys, you know, that's all they remember is the prolapse and the bad udders, you know, all the things. And so as a breed, you know, our breeders, our members, they need to get on the page and just try to produce as good as they can produce. And that's better for everybody. We want the industry talking Beefmasters. But so, I mean, that's what we want. And that's the kind of cattle we need to produce. And like I say, as far as the show deal, like I say, these guys need to bring their cows. If they got all these great cows and great Beefmasters they talk about, let's show up with them. Let them guys critique them, you know, put them right out there with all the rest of us. I mean, back when we used to have those big fraternities out there in the Southeast and have those judges come in and judge those cattle. I mean, you know, they weren't on halter, but you know, those same type of cattle, that's what win all that stuff. I mean, you got to have them with muscle. You got to have just what we talk about, what the industry wants. So our breeders are just missing the whole boat and on deals like that. But that's, like I say, in my opinion, there's no difference between a cow being in the pasture and the show rings, that haircut and bubble bath. They're supposed to be the same animal.
I love that comment. Haircut, bubble bath.
I like that you brought up the muscle and the fat difference and things like that. I mean, I've talked to folks and they're always talking about, well, show heifer's been fed up and all this deal. But part of the show is if you got them over conditioned, you're going to the bottom of the pack anyway.
Yes.
And people need to understand that if you're feeding your show animals up, you know, you're not overfeeding them to get them too fat, you know, and like you said, the muscle is what helps you win the deal. And that's
right.
Part of it. And like you said, in the real world environment, and I've had that on our own experience with that, real world muscle lasts so much better in the pasture than fat or just a narrow animal in particular. But I like that you said that. And I think that's some good advice to folks that may have not ever heard that before.
Right. Because the bull deal, these people that I've always talked about going to bull sales and buying those pampered bulls and bringing them home and putting them out there and they lose 300 pounds. That's because they didn't have any muscle. They just been fed and put a lot of fat on, and those bulls with muscle will go out there and work, and yeah, they'll lose some of the shine they had if they come out of a program or something, but they ain't gonna lose that muscle.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And the thing about it is you can see that with your eyes, which one has the muscle and which one's just fat. So
Yes,
when you're
sir.
selecting bulls, that's something to be remembered.
That's for sure. And something else about talking about the show ring, every time we walk a bull into the show ring, we're taking a risk, because every judge is going to call those bulls out. If they don't have good feet and legs, you know, you're at the bottom of the class. If you don't have muscle, if you don't have bone, if you don't have a good top, if your structure is not up to par, you're kicked down to the bottom. I mean, so we are risking the reputation of our bulls every time we walk them in the ring, you know. So it's really a gamble taking them into the show ring and asking someone else's opinion. You're the big time livestock judge that judges all over the country. Okay, sir, what is your opinion of my bull today? Well, he'll tell you real quick. and you might not like what you hear. So it's a big risk taking those herd sires in that ring.
Well, and what you said too was, you're taking a gamble or a risk on your reputation.
Yes,
You're not
you
going
are.
to put anything in there that's not got the bone, not got the muscle, not got that feminine or bull look to them. I mean, you can't afford to.
No, you can't afford to. You're exactly right.
That's how you get better. The only way you get better, you can't stay at home and breed cattle and get better. If you don't go and compare your cattle to other cattle, there's no way you can get better.
No, I agree with that.
You get barn blind pretty quick.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's a good word.
Before we move to our next thing, I just have to know who comes up with the names, because they're really good.
Cindy does most of them.
Those are some of the most creative, most consistently creative names, and they're good names.
Well,
But
Josh,
I love seeing the names. I love it.
sometimes I'm drawing a blank now.
I kind of figured it was Miss Cindy, Steve, but I wanted to give you a shot just to be sure,
Now he's come up with a few good ones.
Now we're talking about names that kind of goes to y'all sales. Tell us a little bit about, I believe y'all have 2 sales a year. Is that correct?
Yes, we have a bull sale the 4th Saturday of March in Groesbeck, Texas, and we'll sell about 50 to 60 bulls. We'll have a lot of herd bull for the purebred guys, and then just the outstanding set of bulls for the commercial guy. And the biggest part of our bull buyers are the commercial guys. And we've had the bull sale 6 years.
6 years.
We've had 6 bull sales, and I know we've got 3 sets of buyers that's bought at every one of them, because that tells me how good the bulls are going out and working, because of the repeat buyers, that come every year. And that's what we develop those bulls on silage, and we do it for a long time to where those bulls will be hard and they won't be, so fat. They'll look good, but they'll be really hard, because most of our bulls will be on cows before dark that day. The people that come within 150-mile radius, they're loading those bulls and they're going straight to the pasture. And those bulls are going to be turned out that day, and they expect us to start breeding cows, because they've sold their bull and they're ready for a new one, and they got the cows sitting there ready, and they ain't gonna wait around. So, if you feed those bulls a lot of corn and stuff like that and get them extra fat, well, all that's going to go away anyway as soon as they turn them out. So that's what we're doing, our bull sale. And then we have our female sale the 3rd Saturday in August in Bryan, Texas, in which we'll sell about 50 lots. And normally we've been selling maybe 1 bull. This year we're going to sell 3 outstanding bulls. We're going to sell the 1 proven bull, the Elvis bull, and then we're going to sell the Bubba Maid bull, who was the champion bull at Houston and Dallas and Shreveport and several. And maybe, I think there's 1 female in there bred to him. And we'll sell Elvis with 250 straws of semen, and Bubba Maid with 150 straws. And then we've sold a young black bull called Bet on Rip, another Bubba son, and it's going to be a really good herd bull. And then we got several proven donors in the sale, and a lot of, young donor prospects, and we'll have ribeye steaks on Friday night, and then we'll have a big JBBA heifer show after the sale on Saturday. So we'll have pairs, 3-1s, and breds. We won't have very many open heifers. We normally just have breds and pairs and a few open heifers.
It's a weekend full.
Yes, sir. It's a big weekend for sure.
Yeah, I guess it'll be on DV auction as well.
It'll be on DB auction as well. Yes, sir.
And is your catalog's out now, I assume, right?
Yes, it's out.
Okay.
It's on the BBU website. It's on our website. So it's up and going.
Good. Hopefully everybody, which when this episode post will be probably 2.5 weeks out from it. So that'll give everybody that maybe didn't know, they know where to go find them and look at some good prospects and some good donors and a couple good bulls.
And if they need a catalog mail to them, give us a call. We'll get it in the mail.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Well, I guess wrapping it up, we always kind of ask a few questions at the end about some advice, but it sounds like this episode's already full of advice. As you've already kind of stated your goals and everything like that, but I guess kind of maybe wrapping up the last two together, what can we do as Beefmaster breeders make a better end product? And you've already harped on that some already. And then I guess combining that together, what's your advice to a new breeder as well?
Well, the consistency is what we need to do as a breed. Is just make our cattle more consistent to where we can get the industry to talk about our cattle. We need to be mentioned, in the breeds whenever these county agents have these meetings. And because even here in Texas, when you go to an extension service meeting or something, and they're talking about bulls, well, maybe now we might get a Beefmaster mention, maybe, but normally, it's Angus and Brangus and Charolais, Hereford. So we've got to get, we've got to produce the cattle good enough to get in there. And we do, we have that kind of cattle, but the industry just doesn't recognize it yet. We just gotta, as breeders, we gotta pull together and try to breed the kind of cattle that they want. And as a breeder, you need to be talking to the people in your area, the commercial guys, and find out what kind of bull they'll buy. You don't need to be producing something they don't want, or they ain't gonna buy it. And if you're purebred cattle, if you're registered Beefmaster cattle don't look better and raise better calves than your neighbor's commercial cows, it's gonna be hard to sell him a bull. Why does he want one of them? He drives down the road every day and sees them great registered purebred Beefmasters he hears about, and he says, well, I see them out there, but they don't look any better than my cows right down the road here, and their calves don't look any better than my calves. So what I want to buy a bull from them? You got to try to produce. You're as a purebred seed stock producer, you're at a different, you need to be at a different level than the commercial guy. All you need to worry about at the auction barn and calf prices is to know what those guys will pay for a bull. I mean, if you're worried about what the calves bring at the auction barn because you got to carry half your registered calves to the barn because they're no good, you're in the wrong business. You need to get rid of some cows. You don't need to keep those same registered cows and carry those same calves to the auction barn every year. That's not what you're in the purebred business for. And I think we have a certain amount of our breeder members that they're worried about what the sale barn price is because they got to carry half their calves because they're not very good. Well, they need to take their mamas with them, and get some different mamas that raise good calves. But and the other piece of advice I'd give them is like we talked about before, they need to go places. They don't need to stay at home. You can't get better sitting at the house. You got to go and learn and see other breeders and see other cattle and compare your cattle. We've got breeders in these little groups around the country, and I don't think they go anywhere. They can't compare their cattle to nothing. They listen to old Joe Blow down the road that don't go anywhere either. Well, if you want to be successful, you've got to try. You've got to want to be successful. And I judge a good many of these sales around these graded sales we have in Texas, where we'll have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 judges. And I've judged some of these sales a long time. And I see breeders that's been in this Beefmaster business 20 years. And they're not a bit better today than they were 20 years ago. and they still gripe and bellyache because they finished at the bottom in these graded sales. Well, you're not doing nothing to try to get better. You're breeding the same thing and not trying to improve. And so I tell them, you know, I tell the breeders, you need to go and you need to see what's going on and see what kind of cattle you need to produce. But mainly you need to find out from those cowmen in your area. I mean, if you're in an area where they want, let's say they want black Beefmaster bulls, but you're going to produce red ones and try to sell them to them guys that want black ones, and that ain't gonna, they ain't gonna buy them. Or you know, vice versa. If you're in an area where they want all red bulls and you're producing all black ones, they're not gonna buy them. So if you want to make money in the purebred business, you gotta make your product buyer friendly, or whatever that word is. If you're in the car business and they all want to buy a black car, but you're going to have all red ones on your lot, and then you're mad because you can't sell them. I mean, that doesn't make sense. So you gotta find out what the industry demands, and you gotta know, our members need to know what a good one is when they see it. And I think a lot of them don't know what a good one is, because a good one is easy to sell. Everybody wants one of them. And so you have to understand what a good one is and then try to make it. And it's not about having 30 or 50 or 100 registered cows. It's about having them good ones. It's a lot easier to make money and sell if you got 10 really good ones than 50 just average ones. I mean,
Absolutely.
10 good ones don't eat any more than, you know, a good one doesn't eat any more than an average one. And AI is a super tool in our breed, but we have a lot of breeders that try to use it, but most of them try to use it on a cow that can't produce a good calf to begin with. So AI doesn't help. You know, they say, well, she doesn't do very good. She don't produce a good calf. We're going to buy semen out of this high-powered bull and put in her, and we're going to help everything. No, if she can't raise a good calf out of just a good bull, she ain't going to raise a good calf out of a better bull. So
that's right. And you know, it don't cost. Well, let me make sure I get this right. It doesn't cost any more to raise a good one than it does a bad one.
Right. Or an average one.
At the end of the day, it may cost you less.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah.
To raise a good one.
Well, you've been around enough of these Beefmaster sales or any other breed sales, and people talk. You see somebody pay $30,000 for a donor female or something like that. People say, well, you know, that's crazy. Well, you find out how many breeders want to buy a heifer out of that $30,000 calf. They didn't pay 30 for her. Somebody else had to do that. But then when the guy that bought her says, well, do you want to buy heifers out of her? Oh, sure. I'll give you $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for a heifer out of her. So we're going to go flush her. And so how many heifers is it going to take to pay for her?
Not many.
Yeah, one flush. But then people don't understand that. I mean, I'd rather have one really good one than 10 just average ones, because I can sell them good ones.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. But we are completely out of time.
I'm sorry that
no, I love
No,
it. I'm glad. I love hearing. This has been a great conversation, and
I can get a little wound up on the big match.
that's good though, because that means you're passionate about it, and
I want everybody else to be passionate about it. That makes it better for all of us.
And it goes back to what we keep saying in our podcast episodes. People are willing to help you. You just have to go see them. Go see them, call them, email them, talk to them, go to their sales. They will talk to you and they will help you.
Exactly right.
Because they want
everybody to want Beefmasters. And that makes it easy for you to sell yours and me to sell mine and everybody to, do good.
That's right. Absolutely. All over the United States.
Our competition is not each other. It's these other breeds.
That's it.
That we're trying to get some of their market share.
And we can't lose sight of that we, you know, like you said, we're not in competition with each other. We all have to remember that, you know, sure, it's okay to compete, just like when y'all go show, it's okay to compete, but at the end of the day, we're all trying to do the same thing
Right,
and work towards the same goal.
right. Work toward the same goal.
But again, I really appreciate y'all coming on, taking time out of your day to do so. It means a lot to Jared and I to have people willing to come on the podcast and talk. Um, this is doing exactly what we hoped it would do from the beginning. And you all being good enough and willing enough to come on and talk to us, it really means a lot. So we do appreciate it.
Yeah, it definitely does. There's a lot in this little podcast that people are going to be able to take away from it and take it home and use it. I hope. I guess to kind of round it up, we need to probably cover the sales for the rest of the month. But on August the 20th, obviously, the Emmons Ranch sale be in Bryan, Texas. August the 27th, we're going to have the SEBA convention sale in Lexington, Tennessee. And also on August the 27th, they got the Rio Grande Valley Marketing Group sale, which is in Rio Grande, Texas. So that's
Perfect.
all the sales for August.
Well, that'll be good. A couple sales for people to hit and hopefully wish you all luck and doing well with your sale coming up. And if you haven't got any rain, I really hope y'all do.
We haven't gotten any, but we'll get one day.
Hopefully, the odds are in your favor at this point.
Yeah, we can get something like that.
But
I mean, it's been a lot of fun for me to do this.
Yeah.
Well, we
Well, like I said,
appreciate
we really appreciate it. And I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it.
and if you enjoyed it that much, we will have you on at some other point again, and we'll do this all over again.
Yeah, I enjoy talking about Beefmaster cattle and anything like that. And anytime I can help anybody, especially new breeders, try not to go through so many of the trial and error methods that's so costly.
Well, that's good. That's really good. But again, thank y'all very much. I do look forward to doing this again with y'all a little further in the future. But y'all have a great night. And we'll see y'all on the next episode.
All right. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Well, we want to thank everybody for listening to the Beefmaster Banner podcast. Please know that we are on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and we are on YouTube. Just search Beefmaster Banner. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We love hearing from you. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.